Welcome to the Dream Plan Start Grow show, where you can open the door to possibility. I took a brief pause on this show and relaunching it with a different idea in mind, really emphasizing how hard it is to build a business from the ground up. And I find that building it as a female sometimes can be even more difficult. And that doesn't mean necessarily that men have advantages to this versus women, but sometimes women are busy raising kids, women are busy with keeping the house up or paying the bills or whatever it is, depending on your household. And one of the things I've always wanted to do is create more of a collaboration around helping people start businesses, and specifically even women start businesses. So today I want to introduce my guest, Christine Kiefer. And Christine owns a health insurance company in South Florida, but she can help people in most areas of this country. So Christine, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Allison. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, and I know you are part of the Dream Plan Start Grow show that or not show, but Dream Plan Start Grow private group that we've created on Facebook. And we've created it really to help newer aspiring female entrepreneurs gain tips, tools, resources to start with a better foundation, because you don't know what you don't know, is what I always say. And I remember when I started this business, and I mean, luckily at the time I had a business partner who had owned a business before. So she dictated some of the decisions, like she's like, okay, we're going to be an S Corp. I didn't know what the hell an S Corp was versus an LLC. Didn't know what the difference. I still probably don't know fully what that is, but at this point it's too difficult to switch all this stuff over. So I'm like, we'll just stay where I'm at. But she dictated some of those decisions. But I find that, a lot of people, men, women, don't know. Like, do you ask the accountant? Do you ask the business attorney? Do you ask this person? Do you ask that person? So, in kind of creating this collaboration, what interested you in it? And then, what were your challenges when you started your business?
I do health insurance, and my main bucket that I do really focus on is entrepreneurs. So for me, I was a personal trainer before, and trying to always get that going. You're only as good as your last client. One piece that we always missed was health insurance for us because gyms don't provide any of that, especially when you're independent. And when I went into health insurance, and I was trying to do all the things. You took somebody from running around a gym all day that was very easy to get clients and easy to get that stuff to doing all these things in a totally different way and being in front of a computer. So I know the struggle. I know the skills that I've had to learn along the way as I've been on this journey. So when you presented it, I thought, what a great way to share all the different struggles that we've been through and be able to help others. If you can grab anybody else by the hand and pay it forward in any way, and they become successful in their own way or whatever it is that their goals are trying to achieve, I think that's wonderful. I love to give back, and I love being a part of a community, especially when it's our women focused.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's necessary to give back, in my opinion. I mean, I'm all about getting involved in community, getting involved in nonprofit work, giving back in various ways. And I think the world works better when I'm giving back and when I'm able to make a difference in someone else's life, not just in business, but in something else that I'm contributing to as well.
Agreed.
And one of my visions around creating this group, and it's always kind of been on my mind to create something. I've always toyed with, do I create like a membership site? Do I create a private Facebook page? Do I create what is it? you know and when I initially started looking at it years ago, every time I would kind of get started on it, it got overwhelming because I realized I'm like, okay, if you create like a Facebook page or a Facebook group, you're the one creating the content, you're the one creating the tips, the tools, the resources. And I was like, okay. And so I kind of, would do it, and then I'd shy away from it because the rest of life and business got overwhelming. And so this time around, I was really challenged somewhat from the leadership program I've been in to look at it from more of a collaborative place, look at it from hey, it's not about you, it's about who you're helping, and then building, a group, creating a group to really make that impact. And with the group, the impact is so much greater, is what I can see. And it can be, instead of just me impacting 5 people, 10 people, maybe 100 people, if it was over time, it can be a group that can impact more nationally even, and a larger scale. So first of all, I appreciate you being part of it. And secondly, what collaborative efforts have you used, like in your business early on, that maybe helped you get started? Did you kind of say like, hey, I got to do this all on my own, or did you like figure out that more collaboration?
In the beginning, and this is another reason that touches on that point of why I wanted to be part of this collaboration, because, and I think as women, we are guilty. We're used to, like you said, we're running a business where we're working and we're running a household, we're paying bills, maybe taking care of children, the fur babies, whatever. We're used to doing all of the things ourselves and in those buckets, and we run ourselves into the ground. And that's, in the beginning, I was just trying to do all the things myself. And you wind up on a hamster wheel and you start spinning your wheels, and you're like, you felt like you're trying to do all the things, but you're not getting to the things. So when I started working with a mentor, I started really asking questions. I started reaching in other Facebook groups with other women entrepreneurs, and I learned a boatload of stuff with them. And I connected with a lot of people that way. And then as time, at first, I was kind of, I guess I wanted everybody to see me as that strong professional. So if I didn't know something, I wouldn't ask, because I was afraid people wouldn't think I was like good enough, as crazy as that sounds. And I know we all do these kind of things to ourselves, but then I was like, well, no, I'm good at this. This is my superpower. I had to get it out of my head. Over here doing the CPA work, or over here doing this with social media, or over here for, a different product, or helping with certain things. I had to get out of my head that I needed to know all the things, and that they know the things. So I'll do my thing and they can help me with mine. And that changed everything for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think it's, I think people think in general, especially in this country, and I can't speak for other countries and other cultures, but I think in this country, one of the signs of strength is that you know things, and you if you're asking for help, that's like a sign of weakness almost.
Exactly.
Versus coming from that collaborative place of, hey, I need to figure out how to get from here to here, instead of me figuring it out myself. Who can I ask? Who could mentor me? Who's done this already?
One of the things that got that out of my head, as oddly as this, I was at a breakfast for either the chamber or another networking organization. I forget, but it was a really big one. And we were doing a roundtable discussion, and they were asking questions. And then we had the roundtable discussion, and everybody put in their thing. And, one of those touch points was, stop not asking for help. You don't have all the answers, and you're not supposed to, and that's okay. And it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength, that you can honestly sit back and say, I don't know this. Can you help me with this? Or how can we work together so that you can help me get from here to there? And that clicked that day for me. And ever since that moment, I was like, okay, well, what else can I outsource?
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's true. And I think some people see it as competition. So like if you're in the same industry, for example, and you're like, oh, well, you've been in this industry for 10 years. I'm just getting started and hey, I need help with, X, Y, and Z, or what helped you do this to get to here, whatever it is for your specific industry. I think some people see you as competition. And I think that's coming from our society today and how things are driven.
I
Um,
feel the women when we were younger were kind of pinned against each other, and I think that things have changed in that fashion, and we were kind of made to kind of compete against each other in a way, and that has shifted so much more into collaboration and women building themselves up, and I love to see that, because I remember the struggles that I went through with that,
yeah,
but and it's such a good point that you touched on. It's like, that collaboration, it's so empowering, so empowering.
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. So when you got started in the insurance business, I know you said, I know you came out of the fitness industry, you came down here. It was a little different ball game down here. Obviously, the pandemic happened. All those things happened. What were some of the challenges, like when you first started this insurance business, kind of getting started out there and building the business?
Well, being originally from New Jersey and working in the Philadelphia area, the mindset is different down here with collaboration, with the way they do business. Up there, everybody's more corporate mindseted and they work in corporations. But down here, everybody's much more entrepreneurial, and the entrepreneurs really kind of team together. Networking is a huge thing here, and I never did that the way I do that here. So joining a BNI group really helped to catapult me in so many ways. Now, not only at first I go in there, obviously I'm thinking I need to find customers, I need to find clients so that I can really make this ball move. But over the first couple of weeks, I started to learn. You're listening and you're learning to each professional speak about their industry and all the things that they can bring to the table and educating. And I was like, I really like the education piece the most. And that's what I found I love, is learning about other professionals and what they do. And then you realize you really don't know, so you need to work with them. But it really, to me, that was amazing because it made the pieces fit together. And then I said, okay, well, now the more I learn about all these people, the more I can help them find the people
Right.
they need, the more I can utilize them for my own self. And how can I help them? So that was a big shift, and that helped me so much when I made that shift, because I didn't do spreadsheets. I didn't do, you know, the way I do emails now. I didn't, it was like I said, I was a face to face interaction. So everything I had some technology skills, obviously, and I learned a lot of that stuff in school, but technology moves so rapidly, unless you're really in it, immersed every day, it changes. So even, even what I know now, it still changes. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
working with coaches for different things or different skills that I need, blocking
Yeah.
off time, learning better time management, because you can go down rabbit holes. At first I'd be like, oh, I've been doing this for like 5 hours. I need to be over here and I missed 3 calls. Like, I had to get better with that too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, building like the relationships like you're talking about, I learned that quickly coming into a chamber. So when my business got started, Bad Cat Media Group, and it was something else at the time when it was started and then rebranded, but Business Consultants of South Florida, when that got started, I started with a business partner. So she dictated a lot of the initial decisions, which I was thankful for because like I didn't have any business, background of owning a business, and she had owned a business before. So I was thankful for that. But then when we got into joining a chamber, all of a sudden she's like, well, you go out and network, or, you should be the one to network. Now she was the extrovert. I was more of an introvert. And then all of a sudden I was thrown into this world of like meeting new people. And I grew up as an only child. I played tennis. So tennis is a very individualistic sport. I am fairly self-sufficient. I don't, like I can travel on my own. I can do, I've been in my house before, Jack was there. I, and be repair things on my own. Like I can do a lot of these things because I've just learned how to do it. And so all of a sudden, I'm out there networking. I'm out there building relationships and building, kind of once those relationships become fruitful, then she was more that closer person. So it was kind of a shocking thing for me because I was like, you want me to do what? You want me to like actually go talk to people?
And when I first would go into like a big networking event, that's why I like the smaller group thing better. It worked because the first time I'd be like, okay, I'll go to some of these big networking events. You walk in, it's like a deer in headlights. There's all these people. It's overwhelming. I'm still trying to gain my confidence as to be in this whole new role and identity.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, being a fitness trainer and that kind of stuff to insurance is a totally different ballgame. And you're like,
Yeah.
Is anybody going to respect me? So yeah, there was a lot of things I had to get over. And of course, fear, you got to let go of the fear when you're pursuing something really new. At first it's like, yes, I'm going to get into this. It's exciting. And I could geek out all day and learn all the things. But then when you have to go out there and speak to people and like you said, develop those relationships, that was a totally different thing for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, in building the relationships for me, it's not just, you're not, like you said, you walked in and, it's not just looking for business, it's building the relationships and seeing how you can help that person that you're interacting with. Maybe you have a connection for them, so it's not like, hey, like in my industry of, branding and websites and all of that, it's not just, hey, like, let me sell you a website, design or something like that. It's
learning that
you want to meet this kind of person, like, let me go introduce you. Like, I know that person over here. And it's creating those relationships. And then, they learn what you do. They learn how you work. And it may not be them that's the client. It may be someone they refer to you or things like that. But it all comes from that start of the relationship.
Yeah. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And that was the very first thing that really I had to learn and had to shift from, and it's been quite a journey because now I love it. In the beginning, like I said, I felt like a deer in headlights sometimes, but then learning the things and joining the chamber was the other thing that I did besides BNI. And both were really amazing for me. And I also was joining. So then when I'm realizing I got to build relationships, I was joining certain Facebook groups, and the networking in those Facebook groups were really amazing. And I connected with coaches because they're people I can help and they can help me. What can I learn that they're coaching right now, especially female entrepreneurs? And there was a couple of those, and I connected with a couple of them. And to this day, almost 7 years later, I still do business with them. They still send me referrals. I still do things within their groups. I still take their courses.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not a transactional relationship. It's how we help each other and collaborate in that realm together,
Yep. No, absolutely. And I'm going to shift gears a little bit since we talked about you doing health insurance. And I know one of the things, like as a business coach that I do, one of the things I run into with clients or potential business owners is the fear of like losing health insurance because they're coming out of, a corporate job. Maybe their health insurance is dependent on that job. Maybe they don't have a spouse that has a plan that they can go on. So all of a sudden, do they have to go under the marketplace stuff? Do they have to do like private insurance? Maybe they have pre-existing conditions and that plays into things. I know that's a big concern. I know I've talked to a friend of mine who's wanting to start a business, and, that fear of not being insured is real, because of the insurance rates and because of like when you look at sometimes you look at pricing and you're like, oh my God, like, right now my company pays half of it and I only have to pay half. And now you want me to pay whatever. So like, what would you say to someone starting a business or newer in business, around health insurance?
And, I work with a lot of those people. I have a client right now I'm working with, her and her husband. He decided to start a company and they're losing their health insurance through there. Work with a professional. If it's not me, work with another professional, but you want to work with someone that is going to be more of a strategist for you and educate you. They're going to take the time. I personally, and how I handle my clients is, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I want to know about them. I want to know, what are their needs? What are your providers? What are the most things that are important to you? Are you on medications? Are there certain things that we need to make sure that you're managing, that's going to be managed in that bucket? And we want to make sure that you have no disruption. What's the most important thing for your coverage? Somebody that's managing something like a type 2 diabetes and maybe some blood pressure, that's going to look a little differently than somebody is like, oh, I maybe go to the doctor once a year and get my yearlies done. So
Right.
there's so many different options out there. And that's why I like to also come up with strategies. And your health insurance should never be a drain. If you're starting a business, if we have to put you on Marketplace, which is one option, that's a great option for some people, but that doesn't check the box for everybody, and they are pretty costly. And you cannot use that in a pre-tax situation. They're looking at they're giving you those subsidies or the tax thing or whatever, mind you. So you kind of have a lot of handcuffs, and we can't do too many strategies there, but there are still some things that we can do when it comes to private insurance. And even though people have pre-existing conditions, that's still a gray area. And there's a lot of private carriers that take most of those things. If somebody's battling really big things, even a type 2 diabetic, even with high blood pressure, cholesterol, they're really not as big as people think they are, which is, and I love to, they'll be like, oh, I take a blood pressure medicine. I'm like, it's no big deal. It's really not. At the end of the day.
Right.
So, and that kind of calms them down. I mean, pretty much everybody's managing something at some point, and, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
But having the right strategy in place and saying, I have this product, you're really healthy. Just say, for instance, if you went with this product, we can do an HSA and turn it into a revenue positive. You can write your tax insurance, your health insurance through your business. And now you can use it as a tax write-off, there are some premises, and obviously you want to work with the CPAs in that, but there's a lot of different tax codes and tax strategies. And that's another thing that I've really leaned into learning over the past 6 months, are all these tax strategies, because I want to partner with that entrepreneur. I want to partner with the people in their businesses, and be a partner and a resource for you. And as that journey progresses, your outlook might change or your circumstances might change. So we'll go through each step of the way. And sometimes you might have something in place and then it's going well, and then things change and it's not. So we make changes. So I always let them, I always like them to know that. And as far as cost bucket is concerned, there's different ways to make a strategy around that too, so it's not about thinking, oh my God, the cost is so great. It's, well, what's the right strategy that we can use this to our benefit and make it more revenue positive? Because there are ways to do that.
Okay. No, that's great. I mean, are you seeing like health insurance costs continue to rise at this point? I mean, are you seeing it rise? I mean, as far as, I know sometimes you can keep your quote unquote, initial costs down, but your deductibles become higher or your copays become higher or, whatever.
Well, that depends. How often is somebody going to the doctor? So let's look at the copays. Like I have somebody, she might do some therapy. Well, she has a really good plan. She did go with a higher deductible. She gets her yearlies done. But the copay for her to get her therapy was $25. So we made sure that was a lower copay. So it's looking in those plan designs, because they are a little different, and between private marketplace, they are set up differently. So different ones are going to suit different needs a little better. So that's why I try to find as many things that I can find out about the client. So this way I can say, okay, well, here's my advice. Here's a few plans that I think is going to work well for you. And then this is what your out of pocket is. When it comes to your deductible and your max out of pocket, I like to incorporate something, and I offer this to all my clients. It's called a plan enhancement, and it's through Allstate. It's literally pennies on the dollar. Like for me, it cost me, I think, $22 a month. And I have mine set at $10,000. it pays that $10,000 bucket of money to you. So say, with my insurance, I wound up in the hospital, my deductible co-insurance is coming in play. It's a $5,000 deductible with a $10,000 max out of pocket, just using those numbers as a baseline.
Yeah.
You hit that $5,000 deductible. Now there's co-insurance for another 5,000 until you hit that 10,000. And we can all agree, you go into the hospital, you're going to reach that 10,000. So,
You're going to reach that 10,000 more than likely.
with a plan enhancement in place that's literally costing me $20 a month, I can just fill out a claim form for them because it covers anything, any accidental or any sickness in any way, whether I'm in the hospital or just an emergency visit or even urgent care, whatever it is, I can make that claim. It'll pay me the $10,000. And now, I can use one of my credit cards for points if I had to, but now I can pay that bill and it just completely close the gap on where that hole was. So I try to close holes as well. So there's that. And if people are on a marketplace plan, this administration, the president said he doesn't want to continue giving so much money to the insurance companies. People were eligible for subsidies and they're just driving their costs up and getting more and more and more money from the government while they're still driving those costs, instead of trying to keep the cost bucket where they're supposed to, which was the original plan of that. So they're trying to get control of that. And what the administration said was, if you are on a high deductible plan, you're supposed to be eligible to open an HSA account. So instead of getting that gold or silver plan, we tell them go down to the bronze level in the marketplace because you can get an HSA now. You're eligible for that HSA. With an HSA, you can contribute $4,300 a year as an individual, or I think it's $8,600 as a family or a couple. And that is pre-tax money. You just brought your taxable income down more. You can open up something in like a Fidelity. And again, we can put that plan enhancement in place, but you're able to put in however much money you want to put into that. You don't have to put the max. You can just put something. And if you didn't do a plan enhancement, you can use that money if something came up. But if you don't have to use it, it's going to roll over year over year. You can leverage it a little bit in the market if you want. It's all tax-free. At 65, you're going to have two options with that account. You can roll it over into another investment account tax-free, or you can use it to pay for all of your health care over the age of 65, which is when most of us wind up really needing to use it. And there's a lot of qualified health expenses. You would be very surprised. It's wild.
So an HSA doesn't have to be like used annually?
No, that's an FSA.
Oh, it's an FSA.
Yeah.
FSAs.
Yeah. So, I never suggest those. Sometimes you'll see employers utilize those because they're trying to keep their employees healthy by, hey, use it. Whereas an HSA, they're your best option. It's one of the best things. And in the private world, I have several plans that go along with HSAs, and that's what I've switched my own personally for me. It covers all my preventative wellness, which is what I personally do. And if I need to pay for anything out of pocket for a doctor visit or something like that, it counts towards all your stuff that's going on. I can use the money in the HSA, even though I wouldn't, but they're a great tool, like really great. So costs are going up, but what I can see is there's regulation that is coming down the pike. The other problem is not just what the insurance costs and why those premiums and deductibles and all that stuff has risen, but you're also talking about the cost of services and the fraud that's going on with the billing and the fraud, the misuse, the waste, the abuse. That is a real thing. And that's another bucket that they're trying to gain control of with more regulation. And obviously it got so far out of hand, it's not easy for any of them to fix. And it's very hard to reset and recalibrate all that stuff once it's gotten,
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's that's a challenge because it's like which comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Because I'm like, is it the cost from the medical provider side that's driving, this side, or is it the insurance side that, it drives the other costs, or is it they're just both in it for themselves and, what's just.
And the last thing I want, and I'm not trying to be political when I say what this administration has done, I always focus on the positives because, the reality is each administration, whatever side of the fence they're on, they're trying to do something, and they're all coming up with different ideas, and they're
Yeah.
trying to make something better. So you can't at fault any one of them. It's just these are the issues that are there, and they're trying to resolve and work on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So I know one of the challenges I've seen in like my coaching clients when they're starting a business is feeling stuck or gaining traction. And I know, like, I can remember when we started this company all those years ago, and I'm sure you can remember when you started your company, of gaining that initial traction and not feeling stopped, because a lot of us come in and then we get stopped by whatever. Like, we're going down this road, everything's going fine, and then like this road all of a sudden has this wall that goes up, and then you're like, okay, I got to go over it. And some of us who have been doing it for a while, we still run into roadblocks. So it's not like, I'm sure you run into roadblocks all the time. I run into roadblocks where it's not like you have it's smooth sailing, let's just keep going forward. But so sometimes we're still running into roadblocks, but now we know how to shift because we have that confidence that things are going to work out. We have the tools and the resources and the relationships to get around that roadblock or go a different direction or whatever it is. So when you started, what were some of like your kind of feeling stuck moments?
Oh, I felt stuck every day. I'm like, when am I going to get another client? I hope people like me. It was crazy. But the one thing that you have to do, what I found, because like you said, those challenges come in, we're always going to feel stuck. You have to work on your mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset has to work first. You have got to say, this is going to be hard, and you're going to accept the challenge, and you're going to lean into yourself, and you're going to trust yourself and know what you do. And it's all hard, whether you're building for yourself or you're working for someone else and building their dream. So you have to be willing to say, you know what, I'm going to lean into my mindset. I have a very strong early morning routine that I stay very committed to. That also has helped me. I'm very godly. So daily devotion, leaning into that kind of stuff, outside riding a bike or walking, or, we're blessed here in South Florida. We can do that every day when the
Yeah.
weather's really nice, except during a cold snap we had this year. But, but that was the thing I'd say, because you're going to learn things along the way. But whenever I would feel stuck, I would have to take a step back and breathe and say, you got this. You got to just tough it out, and there's so many days, and we still have days like that. Oh, this is great. I got my own business. I'm going on. Oh my God, what am I doing? I'm failing miserably. I'm going to go broke. I'm going to lose everything. Oh no, this is great. Oh, I can control that. So you're going to have these conversations all day long, and that's just going to happen. But the biggest thing really is your mindset,
Yes.
believing in yourself. And if you do have a higher power, leaning into that to help pull you through those things, or whatever it is that, works for you.
Yeah. And I think it is seeing like the possibilities and seeing what, that, yeah, when the door closes over here, there's still a possibility over here, and it's more seeing what those options are. And a lot of times as an individual, especially if you're a solopreneur just starting out, it's hard to see those things.
Oh yeah. And
Unless you have that mentor, that coach, that, collaborator, being in a group where you can bounce off of other entrepreneurs starting, all those things. I think it's a tough world when you first start out.
It makes me think too of one of the things, and I need to shift some of my contributions to the group thinking. One of this, because some people, they're not going to ask the question still, no matter how much you tell them it's okay. They're still not there yet, but they're looking from the sideline, they're looking from the back, and they're just reading through things. And when I would be in some of the entrepreneur groups in the beginning, and I would see these ladies discussing different things that, hey, I woke up today and I'm scared and I have this, and they talked about that fear. and then they said, dig deep in yourself. And this is what I did to pull me through. And you have to have that belief. And this is what's possible. And I was here. And they might go through like a little bit of a story that was discussing how they felt when they were there and where my bank account was in negative, like I was in all this debt. I tried all these credit lines. And then they show, well, now I have $100,000 a month, or now I'm hitting $1 million in my business this year, but it took me through here, you can get there too. And sometimes just reading those things help me too. Like, I know I can do this. You
Yeah.
know, I have these skills too, I've
Right.
been through a lot in my life. I've persevered through a lot. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, and that goes back to, I'm going to bring it back around to this private Facebook group. So I've put up the banner on the bottom. So, if you are a new or aspiring female entrepreneur, please check out our group. You can, I think, check it out without joining it if you want to. I think you can read certain things, and then you just can't comment, you can't share or anything like that. But you can go to dreamplanstartgrow.com, and the links there to the private Facebook group. But one of the things that I really looked at, in building the resources out there, within that group. So there's 14 of us who are kind of co-collaborators, I like to call. So, and the group experts, and we each have kind of our own business. We each have a different niche. So, it goes from, your health insurance. I do marketing and business coaching. I know there's someone in there that's a book publisher. There's someone in there that can coach you to write a book and finish the book, things like that. And CPA and kind of all the different, I was really kind of thinking of like all the different things that I didn't really have access to, or I didn't know when I started the business, and I was just like along for the ride of like, okay, I'll do this, and like, then you realize, yeah, then you realize I'm like, oh,
that was,
you
yeah.
know, like, I knew that you needed a CPA, because I'm like, I don't know how to do a business return. I knew how to do my own personal return, but I don't know how to do this business return thing, like, so that became that's an evident thing, but like some of the other pieces, like, people don't know that they don't know, like Facebook advertising. People are like, oh yeah, I can, I can do my own Facebook ads, but I
Oh,
have
no,
put like
no.
$50 into it. Like, oh, is that right? Is it going to get you anything for $50? We have a Facebook expert that's in this group. Um, and that was one of the things I was really looking at, is like how to build kind of a really complete group of resources. I know like right now, we don't have any attorneys in there because they're very state specific, and the laws are very state specific. So, if and when we get to that point, because we've got people in other parts of the country, and not Christina and I are in Florida. But I know there's members that are in other parts of the country. So we really wanted to have the resources be able to go across all the states in this country, or most of the states at least. Like, I can work from anywhere. I know you can help a lot of people in many parts of the area, of the country as well. Even the CPAs, that she can as well. So, what do you see as the strength of the collaboration?
Well, the fact that if I need something, I know I can go in there and say, hey, I need to connect with this so and so and talk about, like, the book thing. I really want to do a book. A book is a great tool for any business owner or entrepreneur. It's like a business card, and you automatically became an authority within that realm. And I know that's something I needed wanted
Yeah.
to do, one of my goals. Didn't have that resource before. Now I can be like, oh, they're in our group. So I think having that is very powerful, because there's certain things that I might want to do that I can utilize those people for. Or I can say, trying to funnel certain girls that I know that are doing their thing. And I'm like, hey, come into this group. You're going to be able to have this, and let me connect you to, Andrea Smallwood, because she's our wealth advisor and she is next level when it comes to that. And let me
Yeah.
tell you, we all need that.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think it's priceless in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think, it's for me, it's really putting all the resources in place, and then now it's sharing it with others to say like, hey, we're here. And obviously that's a big piece of the marketing world. And hey, we're here because ultimately my big vision is to be kind of a household name across this country. And I feel like it can go there, that it has the possibility to go there. I feel it has the people that are committed to it have that vision as well, and really be able to help a large population of female entrepreneurs.
That is
Um,
also a vision of mine. Being that household name across the nation is definitely so people know that they can come to somebody that they trust.
yeah.
There's a wild west out there, especially in insurance. I thought everybody's going to be helping everybody. It's so nice, you know? Yeah. Well, hey,
Kumbaya.
not even me, you know? And then I started seeing all these things going on, or I talk to clients and I'm like, they did what? They told you what? You know? Oh my gosh, let me just save you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's that's true because, yeah, I think it is. The world out there can be a little cutthroat and can be a
Oh,
little, yeah.
yeah, especially down here in South Florida, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, I think other parts of the country too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just the South Florida, being the transient community that we are down here. Um, I think it's other parts.
Kind of, it's funny when I say that because I think it's hard for people to start over when they don't know anyone.
Right.
But I think that's one of the superpowers that brings us all together because we did do that. So we all have such a commonality in that bucket, you know? And I think
Yeah.
that's why it works so well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Um, like, where do you, like, what would be your big impact? Like, if you said, like, hey, I want to, because obviously you have the insurance business and you said you want to write a book, but what would be kind of your big vision moving forward for your business of like how to make a bigger impact? Because obviously you can only service so many clients. You can only, unless you bring on a huge team. I know it's you and your husband right now, and
Well,
but
in the
yeah,
age of AI that we have, I actually have about 8 AI employees that are being built into a certain system. And that helps automate a lot of things that can be automated. The other thing is helping entrepreneurs that are in small business or a solopreneur. Yes, that's a huge bucket of mine, but now stepping it into the businesses that have employees, and takes it one step further and deeper so that I can scale and grow at such a bigger level. And that is completely national. And that really, protect our profits over here and of taxes because there's so many tax codes that we can use for businesses that add extra things in there and extra layers of protection to those businesses. So even if somebody does have, employer with employees, we can service them. So it's mind blowing. But as part of having my AI employees, which are doing amazing things for me, I still want a human connection all the time for my clients.
yeah,
So my goal is not only having myself, and I do have agents, and I do have agents in other parts of the country, so they're
okay,
able to as well. And I also am bringing in a customer service person because sometimes I find myself, especially the first 2 months of the year, doing a lot of service, which I love servicing my clients, but then I have new businesses coming in too. So it gets to be a lot, especially as my business has grown exponentially.
yeah, yeah,
So having that customer service person being able to say, hey, this person needs this, and there's certain things that they can do, or reaching out to support within, an insurance company, because like today, I get a call. Somebody needs a nuclear stress test and they're getting a denial. Well, I reach out to the company to find out what's going on, and they don't even have the pre-authorization. They were never received it. So it's the provider that didn't do it right. So now I'm able to piece that together and help this client get that done. So now they can get their stress test,
yeah,
those kind of little things. You don't have to be a licensed agent to do. I can have a customer service person do that, which would have
yeah,
taken that hour of my time so
Yeah.
that I am free to do the other things, So that's one of my goals, and I'm doing that this year. So
Awesome.
I'm investing a lot into the company right now, into brands. My health insurance company is called Kiefer Insurance Group. But me personally, in my personal brand, I'm your health insurance strategist and architect, and I'm here to design those plans for you because it's not one size fits all. And I want
Yeah.
to change the narrative to that.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. So as we start wrapping up, and I appreciate you being here today and kind of launch a little bit differently of this show. What, if someone wanted to reach out to you and ask questions about, their own insurance, like maybe they're on a plan and they're not happy with the plan or something like that, what's the best way to connect with you?
Well, you can go right to my website. It's kieferinsurance.net. You can also reach out to me by phone number 561-660-9894. You can email me, Christine@kieferinsurance.net. And Kiefer is Kieffer, and it's a .net on all of those things. And when we have this launched, I can always put my information down in the little chats and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can also find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn, and you can find me Instagram.
All right. You're everywhere.
Hey,
Like your own AI bot.
the more places that we are, the better you are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You just got to remember to check all those places then. If you're
Well,
all
that's the other thing. That's what AI helps me do.
Yeah, there you go. Well, yeah, I'm sure we could do some point we'll have to have like several people in here, like doing like a whole AI.
That would be so much fun. But I have my Go High Level CRM does have all of my things in there. And every morning I look in groups because I made that part of my daily routine. Like I check all these groups, and that's a new thing that I added to my list this week because I was like, I'm not checking my groups, and I'm a part of these groups. What am I doing? So
Yeah.
that was like a big goal of mine to make sure. And content, making sure I have a calendar. I have a 30-day content calendar. So I've put certain systems in place to make sure that I can do all those things.
Awesome.
You
Awesome.
can schedule stuff out too, and that
Oh,
helps.
yeah. Absolutely. Yep. I agree. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me
Thank you so
today.
much for having me.
And thank you everyone for joining. I know we've had various people, since this is a live stream, and we've had various people on and off on some mostly on Facebook, some on YouTube. So it's been good. And I look forward. I'll be back next week again with someone new, another one of our group collaborators. But if you do need a community, consider Dream Plan Start Grow. You can find it on Facebook. It is a private group, but it is visible. If you're new or aspiring or just in that startup phase, because I find that sometimes, especially if you're a solopreneur, like, some people start businesses and they're still working full time. And so they do that for a couple of years. So they maybe don't think they're a startup, but they really are a startup because they're still in kind of that startup phase because they haven't made the full leap. So, check us out, see if it's the right fit for you, and we would love to have you. All right. Thanks, Christine.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And if you have any questions, please you can reach out to me, either on my office phone, 561-276-4422, or Allison@batcatmedia.com. So it's ALLISON @batcatmedia. And like Christine, I'm on all those different platforms as well. So have a great day, everyone.
Bye, guys.